So I was thinking about something recently that's been on my mind a lot lately. I've thought about it while driving my car, running up my electric bill, and also while trying to buy an affordable avocado at the grocery store. Now, most of you know it has nothing to do with food prices, but it does have to do with energy prices, and it's actually related to our last video about solar power and XESS batteries. Now, before I explain, let me take a quick second to ask you guys for a favor. My goal is to reach 50,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and we're well on our way towards that goal, but we're not there yet. So if you enjoyed these videos and learned something about alternative energy and storage solutions, please click the subscribe button down below. Alright, now let's get back to the video. Okay, so one thing that's really important to understand about how solar works is that it's highly dependent on weather conditions. As I said in our last video, sunlight hitting the solar panel creates electrical current. And while we may have plenty of sunlight in California, overcast days will obviously produce less electricity. For example, when I got my solar panels installed late last year, the installers told me I should be generating around 2,700 kilowatt hours per year based on my location and the size of my system. However, through April of this year, I only generated 1,769 kilowatt hours. The reason is simple. Wintertime in Southern California means gray skies, meaning less electricity produced. But here's where things get interesting. On top of inconsistent generation from my solar panels, I also own an electric car. In fact, this is a Tesla Model 3. I've had it for almost 3 years now. I absolutely love this car. In fact, I don't even feel like it's an electric car because I don't hear the motor. I don't feel any vibration, and it doesn't require any maintenance beyond regular tire rotations. But regardless, I am aware that this car requires electricity to function and that electricity comes from somewhere. However, I don't spend much time thinking about where that electricity comes from. And honestly, I didn't even know what utility provider I had until recently. Now, after signing up for my utility account online, I was able to check my electricity usage and track where it came from. And what I found was pretty shocking. I am purchasing 100% of my electricity from a natural gas plant. Now, this is very common. A lot of electric companies will automatically enroll you in a plan that uses fossil fuels, so you have to opt out and look for green options yourself. Fortunately, I did some research and found out that my utility provider offers 100% renewable electricity plans. So I signed up, and now all the electricity powering my house and my electric car comes from green energy. This is really important to understand because while the electricity flowing into my house looks the same, whether it comes from a natural gas plant or renewable sources, it actually doesn't look the same once you split it down at the molecular level. But why should you care? Well, burning fossil fuels releases harmful gases into the environment, and those gases trap heat in our lower atmosphere, leading to global warming. And while you won't necessarily notice if you drive an electric car powered by dirty electricity versus gasoline, the planet will notice. According to the EPA, electric vehicles are at least 50% less polluting than their gas counterparts, even when you consider the electricity generation. And when you switch to renewable energy sources for your electric vehicle, you basically cut out all pollution associated with your vehicle. Of course, we need to look at the bigger picture. While switching to an electric vehicle is a great start, it's only as good as the energy source fueling it. This is why it's important to support green energy initiatives. Now, there are many ways to do this. You can install solar panels on your roof, invest in renewable energy funds, or vote for politicians who prioritize environmental issues. But I want to focus on something a little bit different today. When you sign up for a 100% renewable energy plan with your utility provider, they will build additional solar and wind infrastructure to make up for the difference. In other words, you're supporting green energy projects simply by paying a few extra dollars on your monthly bill. For me, the added cost is about $8 per month, which doesn't seem like much considering I drive several hundred miles every week in my Tesla. So while I could install solar panels on my roof, I think supporting green energy on a larger scale with community-based projects makes sense for me. In addition, we've seen major utilities start to divest from fossil fuels over the past couple of years. Last year, for example, a major utility announced that it would stop purchasing coal and natural gas by 2025 and instead rely entirely on clean energy sources. This is a big deal. Utilities are some of the biggest buyers of fossil fuels in the country. and if they start switching to renewable energy sources, it will help reduce demand for oil and gas. But wait, let's take a step back and talk about the actual cost of electricity. Electricity prices vary widely depending on where you live. But here's a quick overview of average costs across the United States. First, we have the base rate, which covers the cost of connecting your house to the grid and the utility company's fixed expenses. Then we have the energy charge, which covers the actual electricity delivered to your house. The energy charge varies depending on the type of energy source used to generate electricity. For example, nuclear power plants have high capital costs but low operating costs, so they typically charge less compared to natural gas plants. Also, as I mentioned earlier, there are also renewable energy charges, and these costs are generally higher than the other energy sources, since renewables typically require government subsidies. But even though my energy rates are higher, I feel better knowing that I'm helping fund green energy projects and reducing the demand for fossil fuels. The reality is that we need to rethink the way we generate and distribute electricity. Fossil fuels are not only polluting, but they're also extremely expensive. Solar and wind energy are now the cheapest forms of energy production, and they're becoming even more cost-effective every year. According to a recent report by the International Renewable Energy Agency, the cost of solar has dropped 89% since 2010, and wind has fallen 65%. And that's not all. Solar and wind also offer some unique advantages. They're highly scalable, meaning they can be deployed in small or large sizes. They're also very flexible. For example, wind turbines can be installed on land or offshore. And solar panels can be mounted on rooftops, parking lots, or even integrated into building materials. If you want to learn more about how the electric grid works, watch our previous video about XESS batteries. Another way to support green energy is to install smart meters in homes and businesses. Smart meters are digital devices that can communicate with utility companies to monitor energy usage in real time. This allows consumers to make informed decisions about their energy consumption and helps utilities balance supply and demand. In addition, smart meters can detect outages quickly and automatically, restoring power faster. These advanced meters can also integrate with distributed energy resources such as rooftop solar and batteries. By enabling communication between consumers and utilities, these smart grids can enhance the reliability and sustainability of the electricity system. While the shift to renewable energy is well underway, there are still challenges that need to be addressed. One of the biggest obstacles is intermittency. Solar power is not always available when the sun sets or when it's cloudy, and wind power is not always strong enough to generate electricity. To overcome this challenge, we need to develop efficient energy storage solutions, such as batteries that can store excess energy for use during peak hours or when renewable generation is low, and that's why we made our previous video about XESS batteries and why I installed them in my house. While batteries come with their own set of challenges such as cost, lifespan, and safety, advancements in battery technology are constantly improving their performance and affordability. For example, lithium-ion batteries have revolutionized the energy storage industry with their high energy density, long lifespan, and low maintenance requirements. They're currently the most popular type of battery used in electric vehicles and home energy storage systems. But remember, lithium-ion batteries aren't green either. They contain cobalt and nickel, which are rare earth elements that are often sourced using environmentally harmful methods. However, newer battery chemistries such as lithium iron phosphate are emerging as a more sustainable option since they don't require these toxic metals. To accelerate progress, governments, businesses, and research institutions are investing heavily in developing next-generation battery technologies such as solid-state batteries, which promise even higher energy densities, faster charging times, and improved safety features. In conclusion, electric vehicles and green energy are becoming increasingly important in our transition to a more sustainable future. By adopting electric vehicles and supporting green energy initiatives, we can reduce our reliance on fossil fuels and mitigate the negative impacts of climate change. With continued advancements in battery technology and renewable energy sources, we can create a cleaner, more sustainable future for generations to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.